acknowledgement. Before we get to that, if we can have everyone please go behind the trucks and behind the banners. We want to stay unified, and at any point, if you need any waters or need anything at all, please go to people in the yellow vest or the front of the truck. And now for a land acknowledgement from the American Indian movement.
Hello. I was walking through the. I want to welcome you guys to LA for all those that are visiting here. I was walking through the crowd today, and I saw some people that went to ceremony with us in South Dakota from PYM. I saw some people from up north, people from all over in different states. I welcome you here. It's nice to see you. My name is Vanessa Marquez. I'm on the board of the American Indian Movement Southern California chapter and also on the board of the Lakota Lockup Project. I'm here acknowledging the local Native issues with the blessing of the chairman, Andy Salas of the Quiche Gabrielino tribe. I have to bring something up today because it's just really important to us, Native people. AIM SoCal and the Lakota Lockup Project request a prayer. While we're in prayer, we're about to get into prayer right now, for our imprisoned Indigenous leaders. Leonard Peltier on Monday is going to be up for parole. He has spent 4 decades falsely imprisoned, illegally imprisoned.
Hey.
So right now, when we start our prayer, I ask also, as we're praying for the Palestinian people, also to pray for everyone that is in prison and to pray that Leonard Peltier is finally free.
Oh, innocent man.
Free all who suffer!
Free them all. So, Creator, thank you again for allowing us to be here again. Another day, another blessing, another opportunity to be here on our sacred Earth Mother. We only have this one mother to share all the two-leggeds, all the four-leggeds, all the winged, rooted, and the finned nations. We all share this one mother planet, and we give thanks today, Creator, for another day of breath, another day of being here. We give thanks to the natural elements that bring us life, the wind, the water, the rain, the fire, the snow, and the earth, and the water again. We give thanks for these natural elements, Creator, and we give thanks to our ancestors for allowing us to be here, our resilient, beautiful, wonderful ancestors that did what they had to do to make this place a better place for us to be. And our prayer is that we continue that work to leave this earth in a better state and a better place for the 7 generations to come, Creator. And our prayer is not just for our homelands here as Native people from the tip of Alaska down to the tip of Chile, as it's known. We have many names for these lands: Turtle Island, Abya, and so on and so forth, Pachamama. We give thanks again for all of us for being here, and we pray that today our voices are heard once again, Creator, while we change some hearts and minds. We know, Creator, that the people, majority of people on this planet, are for the liberation of the Palestinian people. We know, Creator, that our strength is unity. Our strength is together. As long as we stand together and do what we can to advocate for the people that have little voice in their ability where they live. If they stand up, they get shot, Creator. We need to be that voice for those people, because they are risking their lives. They are standing up regardless. And there should be no more martyrs, Creator. We should have no more martyrs. We should all be able to live and free and breathe and be on the land that our ancestors have been on in that way. We still, too, know genocide here as Native peoples, Creator. So we ask that our prayer unite with all the prayers, no matter what faith, whether it be whoever religion you believe in, the way ever you pray to Creator. Let's unite those prayers together today and be strong in that way, Creator. Thank you so much. We want to acknowledge the directions. If you would like to stand with us in those directions, I'm going to start by facing the north. So we're going to face the north. If everybody could face the north and we call upon the spirits from the north, the northern direction, to come and be with us, stand with us here today. In a good way, we come here, Creator. Thank you to the north. Okay, we're going to turn and face the south. We face the south here. To all our relatives that come from the direction of the south, they come here just to work and to live and to make it a better place for their families and their communities. We don't recognize any borders, Creator. So for the people, the indigenous people that comes from the south, we welcome them here in LA, in Los Angeles, and this territory. Thank you. Okay, and we're going to face to the west now. To all our relatives and our relations and the lands that lie west even of these shores, out to the islands of Hawaii and beyond, to the sacred sites out there, for the land occupations that are happening out there. We ask for the peace and justice and the freedom to exist on those lands too, Creator. Thank you. Oh, and on the next direction, we're going to turn around and face the east. East, we see it as the gateway from spirit world here to our earth. So we welcome the ancestors, because they are with us. They are looking upon us today and seeing if we're for real or not, to know what our prayer is true or not. So we invite them to march with us here today, to be with us, to help us, to protect us from any ill-minded people and spirits, that the good spirits of our ancestors be with us. All right. And then I'd like us to look up above us to the sky. We have many names for our spirit son. We call it Tonatiuh, and in Mexico, Tonatiuh is the spirit of the sun relative of our Creator. So we say thanks to that, for that beautiful energy that brings us here today and blesses us with that. And then we're going to do our best to touch the ground. We touch the direction of the ground, our earth, and we give thanks to our Earth Mother again for blessing us, for allowing us, to give us all that we need to live, all that she provides for us. We humbly give our thanks to her. Oh, and then last direction. Touch your heart. Look within the in direction within us. Because we are our best friend, we are our worst enemy sometimes. So we pray to the direction within us, to that inner child that was born on this earth, innocent and full of wonder, and we ask that spirit child to exist in us again. For those of us that are more in years, many more moons we've seen on this earth, that we remember how it is to be that inner child. And we pray for those children in Gaza who have made the journey already. Their spirits we recognize and we won't forget. And we ask them to forgive us for not doing more to protect their spirits. But there are many more children out there that we need to stand up for. So that's what we're here for today, Creator. Thank you. Aho, Matakwes, Etlaso Kamafi. Okay, one song before we head out. As we're all wearing red today, we also ask for people to wear red in May, and like usually on the 5th, for the missing and murdered Indigenous women and men and children. So you want to sing us that song, Vanessa?
Sing the song when we call on the ancestors. Hey, 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 yeah. Oh, oh. Yeah. Oh, oh. Hey! Hey, hey, hey! Yah-ee-oh-ho! Yah-ee-oh-ho! Hey, hey, yah-ee-oh! Yah-ee-oh-ho! Hey, hey, yah-ee-oh!
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We will walk in prayer.
Thank you, organizers. Thank you again for...
Free the people, free the land!
Free the people, free the land!
Justice is our demand!
Justice is our demand!
Free the people, free the land!
Free the people, free the land!
No peace on stolen land!
No peace on stolen land!
Resistance is justified!
Resistance is justified!
When people are colonized!
When people are colonized!
Resistance is justified!
Resistance is justified!
When people are occupied!
When people are occupied!
And now, I'd like to call up our next speakers from the Palestinian Youth Movement. But before that, I just want to remind everyone that we have waters at the front of these 2 trucks. So if you would like any, please come up and we give them to you guys. Important we stay hydrated in this heat. Yes. Now let's call up from the Palestinian Youth Movement.
Good afternoon, Los Angeles. My name is Nadia, and I'll also be one of your MCs today. We came down from the Bay Area last night to be with y'all, to make a red line through the streets of Los Angeles for the West Coast rally as over 100,000 people make a red line around the White House in D.C. As we stand here today at the 8-month mark of the U.S.-Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people, we honor the lives of over 40,000 Palestinian martyrs who have paid the ultimate price for our liberation. As today marks 54 years of the occupation of Gaza after the Nakba of 1967, we recognize that Gaza has always been the cradle of our resistance and the lifeblood of our struggle. We here on the west coast of Turtle Island stand as one unit in front of the LA City Hall, which is complicit in genocide and the repression of the Palestinians and all people fighting for liberation against Zionism and imperialism. We have seen Governor Newsom, who's going to be making a presidential bid coming soon, order West Coast Police Department to sweep student encampments, arrest protesters, and increase violence in our streets. We saw San Diego PD call in Border Patrol on their students. We saw San Francisco PD arrest 70 protesters who occupied the Israeli consulate. UC Irvine PD called in 20 different police departments to riot against our students. We've seen LAPD abet the violent attacks from Zionists in this community on students at UCLA for hours. And these are not isolated incidences, nor are they coincidences. These are things that are happening systemically because our cities across the West Coast uphold Zionism as part of their project. Early this morning, the Israeli occupation worked alongside the U.S. to massacre and bombard a Nuseirat refugee camp in central Gaza. Forces hid inside the assistance of the U.S. Army. Shame! They targeted everything in the area, leaving residents with no time or opportunity to seek refuge. Over 200 Palestinians have been martyred. 400 were injured in the streets of the UN school. Just a month ago, Biden claimed that the invasion of Rafah was a red line. Really? The invasion of Rafah has carried on for weeks unabated and has expanded to the entire Gaza Strip. Biden's red line is nowhere to be seen. In fact, instead of stopping military aid, Biden continues to authorize billions more in weapon shipments. And now the Zionists cheer as their settler colonial entity continues to bomb and starve 2.3 million Palestinians in the most densely populated place on the planet. Just 2 weeks ago, on May 26th, the Zionist occupation forces unleashed cowardly terror on Rafah, where they bombed and burned displaced Palestinians in their tents. Palestinians who were sheltering in a so-called humanitarian zone. We saw Bosnia and Rwanda. We know what that kind of protection looks like, yeah? More massacres were inflicted earlier this week in Barej and al-Zawaida camps in Gaza and raised in Jenin in the West Bank. This is a continuation of war of annihilation waged against the Palestinians of Gaza. And the Rafah tent massacre that we witnessed from here is but another feeble attempt by the occupation forces to compensate for their failures on the battlefield by indiscriminately bombing and targeting civilians. Shame! We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
Stop bombing Rafah now!
Stop bombing Rafah now!
We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
Lift the siege on Gaza now!
Lift the siege on Gaza now!
The truth is that there are no bombs strong enough, no fire hot enough, no prison brutal enough to destroy the spirit of the Palestinian people. We are not a people that can ever be destroyed. And while we grieve, we know that now is not the time to fall into despair. We are not tired. Now is the time to fight. I want to also bring up our valiant martyr Walid al-Daqqa, who stated that despair is a luxury and it's one that we cannot afford. He was killed by the Zionist entity through deprivation, starvation, and prolonged lack of medical care and attention. They transferred him to the hospital when there was nothing else that could be done for him after 4 decades inside of Zionist prisons. Biden will not uphold a red line or any sort of promise towards the Palestinian people. But guess what? We can. Because we are the red line. This is not a plea for the people at the top. This is a demand from the people at the bottom. Here in North America, from the belly of the beast, we have the power to demand an end to genocide. And in this moment in history, where people of conscience have driven the call to stop business as usual and shut it down from Palestine across the globe, y'all want to follow this. World leaders grow a spine.
World leaders grow a spine.
The world leaders grow a spine.
World leaders grow a spine.
Rafah is a red line.
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 We will defend Palestine.
We will defend Palestine.
Yes, we will defend Palestine.
We will defend Palestine.
For 8 months, y'all have successfully blocked bridges and highways. Y'all have blocked blocked the entrances to airports and weapons manufacturers. Y'all have passed ceasefire resolutions through city councils. And y'all, that's y'all have participated in the student intifada that swept across our campuses. We have seen labor respect our pickets. We have demanded that all our institutions disclose and divest from companies backing the Zionist regime. We have participated in the largest protest from Palestine in the history of the United States, and we ain't going nowhere. And as is everybody in this crowd, over the past 8 months, we have asked ourselves the question, how do we materially stop this genocide? Because despite our best efforts, the United States government refused to heed our demands for a ceasefire and instead has doubled down on these genocidal endeavors. So we asked ourselves, what more can we do? So let's start with what we know. Okay, let's start from the beginning. What we know is that the U.S. alone contributes almost 70% of the weapons flowing to Israel right now. We know that those weapons are being used to genocide the people of Palestine. We know that without the support of the U.S., Canada, Britain, and Germany, Israel would not have the firepower to destroy every hospital, every university, and every piece of civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip. So here's something we didn't know, which we pulled from the shadows just recently. Who is the silent partner that makes the flow of those weapons components from factory to factory possible? Who is the quiet profiteer that transports these weapons from the U.S. to the shores of Gaza? Who is the largest transporters for these deliveries of death? Their name is what? Maersk. Say it with me. What's their name? Maersk. What's their name? Maersk. Maersk. Their name is Maersk, and they use our highways and our cities, our ports, our train tracks to transport weapons to Israel and make a killing off of killing. Since October 2023, Maersk has shipped the most weapons to Israel from the U.S., and it is not slowing down. Maersk is a Danish logistics company, one of the largest on the planet. And when it comes to shipping weapons to Israel from the U.S. and Europe, they are the biggest dog in the game. Y'all hear that? During our research, we found that Maersk is a tried and true partner of U.S. imperialism. This is going to rock you. From 2001 to 2012, they were one of 2 companies who together shipped 90% of the weapons from the U.S. to Afghanistan and Iraq. They profiteered on $11.5 billion in defense contracts. That means that without Maersk, the imperialist war in Afghanistan, the onslaught of Iraq could not have happened. So if Maersk is so big, where are they at? The answer is they're amongst us and they're hiding in plain sight. So this summer, we are unmasking them. And that's why the campaign is called Mask Off Maersk. So instead of blocking weapons from one factory, just from Northrop Grumman or BAE Systems or Lockheed, we're going after all of them by going after the logistics companies that ship them from here to there. So we're calling on y'all, on the streets, on the unions, on the students. We're calling all people of consciousness to demand that Maersk cuts ties with genocide and that they stop shipping weapons to the Zionist entity. They think they can hide? Damn straight they cannot. They are trying to make a pretty penny off of the death and destruction and genocide of our families, and we a lot in the streets. Mask, mask, you can't hide.
Mask, mask, you can't hide.
Said mask, mask, you can't hide.
Mask, mask, you can't hide.
We charge you with genocide.
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 Y'all can sign the petition at maskoffmerce.com or go to the socials of the Palestinian Youth Movement. If y'all want to get involved, go there, sign up. This is going to be a multi-pronged strategy because logistics companies are everywhere. They're international. But guess what? So are we. So I'm going to wrap up, but you know why we're here in the streets. Because we want hands off Rafah. Say it with me.
Hands off Rafah.
An immediate and permanent ceasefire. It's like the people's mic. I know y'all got this. An immediate and permanent ceasefire. An end to the brutal siege on Gaza. An end to all U.S. funding for Zionist genocide. The release of all Palestinian political prisoners. The People's Arms Embargo now. And an end to the occupation of Palestine. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Give it up for yourselves, Los Angeles.
Rafah is a red line. We'll defend Palestine. We stand by Gaza side by side. We will not be pushed aside. And with that, I'd like to call up our next speaker from the Free Democratic Palestine Movement.
Could I kindly ask you for a moment of silence, please? Thank you all very much. Sisters and brothers, comrades and friends, my name is Ayman, and Free Democratic Palestine Movement salutes you for being here. Today is the best of times and the worst of times. It is the worst of times to witness the heart-wrenching genocide taking place in Gaza and the West Bank by the Zionist apartheid colonial entity. It is the worst of times to see the senseless killing of tens of thousands of our people, of whom the majority are women and children. It is the worst of times to see the inhumane, catastrophic starvation and famine is being endured by our people in Gaza, caused by the evil Zionist entity. And it is the worst of times to see Zionist invaders criminally destroy every structure that stands in Gaza: homes, schools, hospitals, and places of worship. They want to make Gaza devoid of life, but they will fail. Because of our love for life is stronger and bigger than their love of killing and destruction. But it is also the best of times to witness the legendary steadfastness, bravery, and courage of our noble people who are loudly and clearly declaring to the enemy, you can kill us, you can destroy our homes and schools, but you will never be able to take away the love of our Palestine. And you'll never be able to take away our unwavering dedication and determination to liberate Palestine no matter the cost. It is also the best of times to be a Palestinian. To see our Palestinian resistance teaching the enemy's cowardice, evil army lessons in bravery, tenacity, and courage. This is how our Palestinian freedom fighters resist, fight, and win. The Zio-Nazi army is at the brink of collapse. They will leave Gaza with their tails between their legs. It is also the best of times to be standing for the liberation of Palestine, to be standing right on the side of history, to fight the last direct colonial entity in modern times, to participate in ushering a new dawn of liberation and freedom to the world. It is the best of times because we Palestinians know and believe that we will rebuild what they destroyed. We will plant the olive trees they uprooted, because they are builders. They are destroyers and we are builders. They destroyed the stones that had been touched by the prophet's hands. And they uprooted the old olive trees that the prophets prayed under its branches. They destroy the land because they don't belong to it. And we build Palestine because we eternally belong to it. We will keep on fighting until every inch of that sacred land called Palestine is fully liberated. And that glorious day is getting closer by the minute. Long live Palestine. Long live the resistance to liberate Palestine. Keep up the good fight. You are on the right side of history. All the power to us. God bless us all.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Thank you, everyone. Now we're going to start getting ready to go marching. Or we're going to have a few more statements before that, but can we have everyone please go in front of the trucks and behind the banners as we prepare to get ready to march? Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
And now, I'd like to call up our next speaker, Dr. Muhammad Abdel Fattah, who is a doctor who recently traveled to Gaza to provide essential medical care to the sick and wounded, following the total collapse of the health infrastructure in Gaza due to the 17-year-long siege and the 8-month-long genocidal bombing campaign. At the same time that Dr. Abdel Fattah was meant to return from Gaza, the Zionist regime closed the Rafah border crossing, not allowing anyone to leave and preventing the entry of humanitarian aid. Dr. Abdel Fattah was finally able to return about 2 weeks ago, and he's here today to speak to us about his experience. So let's give him a big warm and welcome.
Hello everyone. Hello Los Angeles. You guys look amazing from up here. So I just got back 16 days with the heroic people of Gaza. 16 days with the most unbelievable people. From the children seeking shelter at the hospitals, giving us hugs, giving us high fives, smiling, despite the bombs, the constant drones, smiling in our faces, not allowing anything to get rid of their joy. To the doctors who continue to come to the hospital every single day, despite the horrific conditions. They would have to come through dangerous routes that would put their lives in danger, routes where people have been killed in front of them. They kept coming to the hospital despite knowing that their colleagues have been killed for working in the hospital, despite knowing that their colleagues have been arrested for working in those hospitals. And they were absolutely horrific conditions in the hospitals. I'll tell you, most of the kids, most of the patients that we were treating died. I'm an ICU physician, so we would stabilize these patients, and after a few days, they would die because of the lack of resources, because of the infections spreading like crazy, because there's no hand soap in the ICU. And this is a war on children. That's what I saw. Every few hours, children were coming into the ER, already dead. Some of them in horrific shape, explosive injuries, shrapnel all over their bodies, burns, you can't even recognize their faces, limbs amputated, and unfortunately, a lot of them did not make it. But with all this despair, there's always hope. And I saw that firsthand. Many of them told me, we're not leaving Gaza, never. We're going to rebuild Gaza. The ones I met in Egypt. The ones I met in Egypt told me the same thing. They're not going back. They're not staying in Egypt. They're going back to Gaza. And I want you guys never to belittle your actions because they are watching everything that you're doing. While I was in the ICU one day, a resident came up to me with his phone and he showed me Macklemore's Hind Hall, the song. And he was so proudly listening to it. And multiple people in Gaza came up to me while I was there and they said, you know what? The one thing that's giving us hope every day are the protests in America. I promise you, multiple people in Gaza told me that. Specifically, they were referring to the student encampments, but just the brave students here who sacrificed so much. So please do not belittle any of your efforts. And now that I'm back here, you know, I have the comfort of Southern California, but I know that nothing changed for them. And the bombs are getting closer and closer to the hospital that we were at. So I just wanted to play a voice note from a nurse who's seeking shelter just right outside the hospital in a tent with her family. Just listen to this, please. Sorry, it wasn't the best audio, but this is right next to the hospital. This isn't even in Rafah. This is in Khan Yunis. supposed safe zone. And so my last message is, you know, this is an American war. You know, one day when I was there, I was looking at a lifeless child, about 2 years old, with curly hair, and she was killed, she died. And I'm looking at her, and I honestly thought about Biden. And I said, why is Biden killing these kids? What is the purpose of this war? This is clearly an American war. Yes, Netanyahu has his finger on the trigger, but every bullet, every bomb is coming from Biden. So we have to make sure he pays the price. And don't let anyone make you feel guilty. Only Biden is responsible for Biden. Okay? So I need to see a pledge today. No one is voting for Biden in November. This Genocide Joe has to learn, the Democrats have to learn, and we can teach them that lesson. Thank you so much.
We will honor all our martyrs.
We will honor all our martyrs.
All the parents, mothers, fathers.
All the parents, mothers, fathers.
We will honor all our martyrs.
We will honor all our martyrs.
All the children, sons and daughters.
All the children, sons and daughters.
يا شهيد ارتاح ارتاح.
يا شهيد ارتاح ارتاح.
واحنا نواصل الكفاح.
واحنا نواصل الكفاح.
يا شهيد ارتاح ارتاح.
يا شهيد ارتاح ارتاح.
واحنا نواصل الكفاح.
واحنا نواصل الكفاح. We are the red line. 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 From LA to Palestine. From LA to Palestine. We are the red line. We are the red line. From LA to Palestine. From LA to Palestine.
Okay, we're gonna get started to march soon. If we can have everyone, please go behind the banners. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine.
We have one more speaker, and then we're gonna continue marching, but let's get in formation. If we can start having people go behind the banners and in front of the trucks, please. Remember, we are here to stay united, and we are here with one another, and we are here to keep each other safe. Because who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Reminder, as we're here, if you need any waters or anything at all, please come up to the truck and we will give them to you. And so now, I'd like to call up our next speakers from Stop LAPD Spying.
What's up, Los Angeles? What's up, Los Angeles? Are we going to abolish the system of violence and genocide and enslavement? Are we going to dismantle this system of violence and white supremacist system?
Yes!
I want to honor the land acknowledgement that our family from American Indian Movement did. But just take a moment and look around. This is the land where the Tongva people, the Garbiano people, the Chumash people, and several other native people flourished. This is the site where they celebrated their culture. This is the site where they celebrated family. This is the site where they celebrated food and music and their own histories for being here. But what happens? The biggest evil, the great Satan, comes in and exterminates people. Exterminate, banish, and remove and displace. And it didn't take very long. It didn't take very long, maybe 70 years after the colonizers came in, that they built a native slave market just about 4 blocks from now. If you go down on Main Street on Winston, that used to be a native people slave market where native people were bought and sold. But also take a look at the site of violence that we are. Right over there is the City Hall where violence is legislated and codified. Right behind us is the LAPD headquarters where violence is operationalized and unleashed. Right over there is the court system where violence is adjudicated. You have the DA's office, you have the city attorney's office. And then right over there is the old building for the LA Times, where violence is subscribed and sanitized by functionaries of the state. But this is also the site that reminds us, as my dear brother Pete White would say, a tale of two mayors. Not even 40 years ago, the first black mayor of Los Angeles, Tom Bradley, had the courage to stand up against fascists like Ronald Reagan and start the disinvestment process of Los Angeles from apartheid South Africa. And then we have the current mayor, Karen Bass, who claims to have been politicized and was active in the South African apartheid movement, that is completely asleep. That has taken a front row seat to witness the genocide, the enslavement, and the mass murder that is going on. Any word from Karen Bass? No! I also want to say recently this city council moved a motion for ceasefire. Don't be fooled by that bullshit. Don't be fooled by that bullshit. This is the same city council that just in December of 2023, 2 months after the current genocide had started, voted on a motion, and it is in motion as well, this motion, that whole language of bureaucracy as well, which is now saying that pro-Palestinian flying is hate speech. And I say it again, pro-Palestinian flying is hate speech. Bob Blumenfeld, who is in the city council, went even to say that a pro-Palestinian flyer in the streets is like hanging a noose outside a black family's home. Imagine to the extent that they will go, that pro-Palestinian flying is equal to hanging a noose outside a black family's house. Let's go back, October 2022, not even a year and a half ago. Well, they were unanimously, the council voted that they were going to adopt the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance language, IHRA, that equates anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. The same council. Let's go back to 2021. Again, Nithya Raman, who's now all of a sudden becoming pro-Israel, well, it was a Freudian slip. She is pro-Israel. She's a Zionist. Pro-Palestinian all of a sudden, moved a motion where they went after the teachers of United Teachers Los Angeles who wanted their union to incorporate boycott, divestment, and sanctions into their work. BDS movement. They said that is all about anti-Semitism. And then back in 2018, Bob Blumenfeld again wanted to cancel a Student for Justice Palestine conference in UCLA, saying that this is anti-Semitic. So let's not be fooled by any of this bullshit. Let's not be fooled by that, because that is exactly where our work is cut out. We want Kenneth Mejia, the controller of the city of Los Angeles, to disclose all financial ties that the city of Los Angeles has with the state of Israel. Call upon Kenneth Mejia today. We want the city of Los Angeles, not just about ceasefire, but a complete removal of all settlements and a complete removal of all the military forces, the Zionist military forces in Palestine. We want the LAPD completely to end their partnership with the Israeli occupying forces and the Zionist police forces. So friends, it's not only about what's going on in Palestine. We got our work cut out here. Because where there's oppression, there's a strong cultural resistance. They may come after us. They may murder. So from City Hall to Campbell Hall, they may murder Bunchy Carter. They may murder John Huggins. But that is our legacy. Those are our ancestors, the Black Panther Party and way people before them. That's our fight. And I want to end by using one couplet paying an homage to all the millions of people out there who are building this resistance. कि कत्लगाहों से चुनके हमारे अलम और निकलेंगे उषा के काफले जिनकी राह तलब से हमारे कदम मुख्तसर कर चले दर्द के फासले. from these killing fields shall rise the lovers of freedom, picking up the banners from the fallen ones. All power to all people. Thank
you. Thank you so much for giving us that grounding of the struggle where we are. Once we know where we've been, we know where we're going. A reminder for y'all to drink water, to take care of each other, because we're about to start marching. For real. So, a reminder, do not engage with counter-protesters. We are here for Palestine, not for them. We don't talk to cops. If you need something, talk to the police liaison. If media approaches you, give them to someone in a yellow vest. And as we march, go behind the truck, please, behind the banner, and stick together. We keep each other safe. Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? Okay, we're going to start moving. And we want to hear you as we go through the streets of LA. This is the West Coast March on the 54th anniversary of Al-Aqsa and the day of the Muslim genocide and massacre.
Okay.
We want justice.
I think I can talk now. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Tina-Desiree Berg here reporting live from downtown Los Angeles. This is the West Coast March, Red Line March. You watched the one earlier today in D.C. with John Farina live streaming. We are now downtown Los Angeles. So this is the West Coast. There are people here from San Francisco. There are people here from San Diego. We spoke to some folks earlier that came in from Phoenix, Arizona. Quite a few people here. I would say at least 1,000, if not more. So we're going to start marching now. Hopefully we'll get some interviews in as well. For those of you that have been paying attention to the UC strike, a temporary restraining order was issued by a judge in Orange County late last night that has forced them to end the strike. Let these marchers go by so people can see the magnitude of people on the streets in LA this afternoon. At least 1,000 by my count. And again, this is the West Coast March, so we've had people come in from San Francisco Bay Area, from Phoenix, Arizona, San Diego, all over the place. And again, an update on the UC strike. The UAW, which handles the grad student teachers, it's a union of about 3,000 students, grad student teachers, and workers, not just teachers. They've been on strike. The main basis for their strike was the way the student teachers have been treated by the universities. A judge issued a temporary restraining order outside of Orange County. So that's forcing the student teachers back to work temporarily.
Palestine will be free.
Lots of signs about Joe Biden. We heard a speech earlier where he asked people not to vote for Joe Biden. I don't think that's necessarily support for Donald Trump. We have a lot of anger towards Donald Trump as well. But they're angry that Joe Biden has not stopped supplying bombs to Israel. Hundreds and hundreds of people here. I'd say at least 1,000. dangerous, maybe a little dangerous, our support of Status Coup members. Because of your support, we've been able to buy or pay for a second live view to function. So I'm going to be doing more live streams here on the West Coast, not just Los Angeles. John's going to continue to do his live streams on the East Coast and around there. So thank you again, generous Status Coup members. We appreciate your support, and it's what is allowing us to do this today. All right, so let's catch up to the front of the march here.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free the people, free the land! Free the people, free the land!
So we're just leaving the City Hall. This is downtown City Hall area. On my left is the LAPD headquarters. We're going to pass by that. The old LA Times building is on the right. So we're in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. Tina-Desiree Berg reporting live downtown Los Angeles at the Red Line West Coast March for Palestine. I did want to mention earlier there was a doctor, of some sort. He had just come back from Gaza, and he played this devastating audio of a nurse that he had worked with there. She called him, and they were dropping bombs outside of whatever refugee tent she was in. If you missed that, go back early in the live stream at some point and listen to that. It's really devastating. Try to make our way to the front of the march. Hundreds and hundreds of people here marching through downtown LA today. Also, anybody that wants to send up some super chats, I'm going to have Paul text those to me, so you'll definitely get a shout out if you have questions. Drop those in the chat. Love to hear from you folks. Palestinian leaders are now saying that other hostages were killed in the assault on this refugee camp.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine!
Again, if you're just joining us, this is Tina-Desiree Berg. We're reporting live from the Red Line for Palestine protest. Where thousands of people are marching through the streets of downtown Los Angeles. There are folks here not only from Los Angeles, but Sacramento, Bay Area, Phoenix, San Diego. Over 1,000 people.
Palestine will be free! Because we will not rest until we achieve liberation.
Hamas and Israel as countries that are harming and menacing children?
Your downfall! No! We are out here in the streets today knowing that Biden's legacy is genocide and starvation! His red line means nothing! Our red line holds that we will not tolerate the genocide continuing in Gaza in our name! Biden, Blinken, Harris, and all local representatives of this empire, if you don't enact an arms embargo, we will! If you out here for Palestine, make some noise! If we're gonna see you all summer, make some noise! All right, y'all, we're gonna continue with our programming. Please give it up for Dr. Yasser Abdulaziz from the Muslim American Society of Greater Los Angeles.
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace of Allah be upon you, everyone here. Regardless of your religion, you believe in justice and freedom. Peace be upon you. In the coming days, Muslims around the world celebrate Eid al-Adha, the festival of sacrifice. The celebration commemorates the willingness of Prophet Abraham to sacrifice his own son in obedience of God's command. At the last moment, God provided a ram to sacrifice instead. This profound legacy teaches us about devotion, obedience, and sacrifice. Prophet Abraham holds a unique place as a revered figure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. His legacy teaches us the importance of striving for goodness, peace, and the well-being of all humanity. Today, we gather to call for peace and to end for hatred, genocide, and war. We denounce all forms of violence against innocent civilians, regardless of who the perpetrator is. Currently, we witness Israel perpetrating violence against civilians in Gaza, continuing a tragic history that dates back to establishment in 1948. The displacement and suffering of Palestinians, often overlooked in history, continues to this day. The toll on civilians is immense, and as Americans, we oppose the use of our tax money to fund genocide. The legacy of Abraham also teaches us resilience. When faced with persecution, he remains steadfast in his faith. Similarly, we must remain unwavering by false accusations of anti-Semitism or by police brutality, as we have witnessed in colleges across the United States and right here in LA and OC. True Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all advocate for kindness, justice, and the protection of the innocent. We stand against Zionism and against genocide, advocating for what is right, regardless of who commits it. The indiscriminate killing of civilians, the destruction of infrastructure, and the resulting famine and suffering in Gaza are undefensible. We must continue our efforts to awaken Americans to the realities of these injustices. The forced ethnic cleansing of 750,000 Palestinians in 1948 was almost buried in history books. Today, we literally see it and witnessing it with our own eyes. We must persist in our quest for peace and justice, standing firm in our beliefs and actions. I would like to leave you with a few actions, brothers and sisters. Number one, connect with your community. Get to know your Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian neighbors, beliefs, or trusting. Learn about their stories and experiences. You will find that both highly effective, outworking families with strong family values. Number two,
If you're just joining us, it's Tina-Desiree Berg reporting for Status Coup News. We are in downtown Los Angeles right now, where we are live streaming from the Red Line for Palestine protests on the West Coast. Even though we're in downtown LA, it's a West Coast event, so there are folks here all over the state. And from Phoenix, we spoke to some people earlier. I would say at least 1,000, if not more, people are here on the streets marching today. Midway in the protest right now. We're going to head up back towards the front, but you can see, being here in the middle, how many people are here. Very large Understand what he's saying, but the security guys are trying to keep him away from the protesters.
¡Tienes el nopal en la cara, pendejo!
You're fucking proud, you idiot!
¡Tienes el nopal en la cara! ¡Eres pendejo! ¡Eres lavado! ¡Pinche cara de culo!
Let him talk to himself! He looks stupid! Leave him alone! He's an idiot! Let him talk to himself! He looks stupid! Bring him down home! Bring him down home! Long live Israel! Long live Israel! Long live Israel! Long live Israel! Long live Israel!
Now I can hear him. He's been saying long live Israel the entire
Long
time.
live Israel! Long 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 live Israel!
Alright, so this was just an agitator that came into the protest. He was shouting long live Israel. He's been kind of escorted out by security forces, or whatever you want to call these guys in the yellow vests, safety guys, whatever. No violence. He's leaving. So back to the protest. Again, we are at the Red Line for Palestine protest downtown Los Angeles. This is the West Coast version. We streamed the East Coast one earlier with John Farina, if you tuned in for that. So this is the West Coast. We have people here from all over the state of California, Bay Area, Sacramento, San Diego, Bakersfield. We also had some folks mention that they were here from Phoenix, Arizona. So kind of a West Coast protest. I'd say there's a minimum of 1,000 people here marching. We are currently in the middle of downtown Los Angeles, headed towards Pershing Square, which is 6 or 7 blocks from the LAPD headquarters and City Hall, which is where the protest started. If you didn't catch any of that, we recorded all the speeches. You can tune into them later. One of the things that I thought was rather devastating is they had a doctor that had just come back from Rafah, emergency room doctor, I believe he said, and he had a voicemail from a nurse that he had been working with there that he played for us, and you can hear the drums dropping around her. She was holed up in some tent outside of a hospital. I'm not entirely sure where. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to that guy at some point. But it was very devastating audio to listen to. So they're still, the agitator's still down there arguing with people. It's just one guy. Let's head back over here to the front of the protest and maybe get some of those speeches. Sometimes it's hard to know which way to go when the action is happening. so let's get an update. Speaking of labor, the UAW, which represents the grad student teachers and workers here, as they've been doing a stand-up strike. You had UCLA that went out on strike, UC Irvine went on strike, UC Santa Cruz. But yesterday, a judge in Orange County issued a temporary restraining order saying that they had to end the strike. It's temporary, so I'm not sure where it's going to go from there. But, you know, one of the reasons that the judge said was because it was damaging students at the campuses. A lot of the grad students are responsible not only for teaching courses, but also for grading papers. So without the grad student workers, it really does shut down the university. So they applied for a TRO as opposed to actually addressing some of the concerns. One of the main concerns the students were asking for was remedies for the way they had been treated at the student encampments, the Palestinian rights encampments. We saw a lot of devastating violence as these camps were being broken up. It wasn't just, UC cops. There was LAPD, there was CHP, the California Highway Patrol, and other various forms of local law enforcement using less lethals and whatnot. And part of the other problem is we had a night of violence at UCLA in which some extremist Zionists, hard-right Zionists, came and for hours and hours attacked the UCLA encampment without the UCPD stepping in to stop them, even though they were present. If you haven't seen any of that video, you can go to the District 34 channel and see some of that. But there was a lot of violence that night. One of the grad students was hit in the back of the head and needed a bunch of staples. They were using bear mace. They were throwing fireworks into the camp. It seemed like they were trying to start a fire. So there's a lot of violence. None of that has been addressed, minus the arrest of one individual. But that's also part of their complaint. They feel like there has not been a uniform handling of the problem. There's a little drone in front of us. Somebody's using a drone.
Today representing the Palestine Arab and Muslim caucus of the California Faculty Association. I'm a proud labor organizer and the co-chair of the PAN caucus. And also, I was very honored yesterday to be marching with the student strikers at UCSD, UAW, marching to the Chancellor's
All right, so they're starting to march this way. That is a UAW student striker that's speaking now. We just gave you the update on that. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Status Coup members. Thank you for joining. If you haven't joined, please consider joining. Your membership is what funds our ability to do this. We recently started with 2 live views now, so which is why I'm out with the live view today on the West Coast. John's going to continue live streaming with the other unit on the East Coast, but it is because of your support that we've been able to expand.
To the sad news, devastating news from Nusayrat in Gaza. It saddened me, it crippled me. I couldn't move. Seeing more dead children, those killed by Israeli missiles. Over 200 people, about 210, were killed last night in only a few hours. Over 400 severely injured. And those stranded under the rubble. How is this not a red line, Genocide Joe? How is this not a red line? The Netanyahu government announced this as a victory, as a military victory. But in fact, it's a cowardly act. Any army in the world, any immoral army in the world could have this victory if they kill everything in their path. For the sake of 4 Israeli lives, they killed and injured over 600 people.
Doesn't matter, just the front of the tracks. That's better.
And we are complicit in making those lives, our precious lives, less significant than Israeli lives because our administration and our president, Genocide Joe, is sponsoring them. Yay! I think, again, genocide in Gaza, and part of that money trickles back to AIPAC, when they are able to use $100 million to have their own corrupted politicians representing.
Shame!
And we say no more. No more AIPAC. This is going to be our next target and our next struggle, where we take all this energy today and channel it to ending AIPAC control of our political process. And again, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Free Palestine! And the Red
Hand off Rafah now! Hand off Rafah now! Rafah is a red line! From LA to Palestine! Rafah is a red
Again, if you're just joining us, this is Tina-Desiree Berg reporting for Status Coup News. We are in downtown Los Angeles for the Red Line for Palestine March. Marching through downtown Los Angeles right now, over 1,000 people, about 1,000 people, hard to say, but it's a lot. Code Pink is here. Jewish Voice for Peace is here. Palestinian Youth Movement is here. UAW student strikers are here. Started marching at downtown City Hall, downtown Los Angeles. We are now entering the Pershing Square area, which is a few blocks away. I'm going to stay here a moment and let some of these marchers go by because I think it helps you to see how many people are actually here. It's got to be way over 1,000 actually, now I'm looking at this. I think the numbers have definitely grown from earlier. Cornell West 2024 sign just going by. Bombing kids is not self-defense. End all U.S. funding of Israeli apartheid. Jewish Voice for Peace, not in our name. Never again means never again. Filipinos for Palestine. Free children of Palestine. The decapitated toddler baby. All right, so now there's a little bit of a car group that's following behind the protesters. We're going to head back up towards the front of the protest.
Los Angeles, you will see.
Oh, sorry. Very large Palestinian flag here on the right that's being carried.
Los Angeles, you will see. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. Biden, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. We charge you with genocide. Biden, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Biden, you're a liar. We demand a ceasefire.
This is Pershing Square here on the right that we're marching by.
You're a liar. We demand a ceasefire. We demand a ceasefire. We demand a ceasefire. We demand a ceasefire. From the belly of the beast. From the belly of the beast. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. From the belly of the beast. From the belly of the beast. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
kids.
At the top of the building with a Palestinian flag hanging out of their apartment. We're right now at 5th Avenue and Broadway, downtown Los Angeles, where I'd say over 1,000 people are now marching for the Red Line for Palestine.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do the concept chant. So what we're going to do is we're going to clap 4 times. And then we're going to chant Gaza. Are we ready?
get a little bit further away still. We've got this in the background. So. Right. This is good.
This is a great backdrop. So we've had you on StatusCoup actually before, so we have you again. I wanted to ask you, well, first of all, you're constantly dealing with the Palestinian movement. Like this morning, we got news that the refugee camp had been bombed. Over 200 people have been killed. The IDF is claiming they got more hostages out. Palestinians did the same. They also killed hostages. And that's not the first time we see hostages killed as quote-unquote damage in a situation. So it's not just an incident that it's also
I think, broadly speaking, the idea that the Zionists are in Gaza to rescue hostages is a horse that has been beaten to death, but it's a lie, ultimately. Because the absurdity of killing 40,000 people to get to 4 is either a complete fabrication or an admission that they consider their own lives to be 10,000 times more important than ours, which is a conclusion that we ultimately reject regardless. When we see what happened in Nusayrat, like over 200 martyrs being killed by American and Israeli troops on the ground, and we see how they got in disguised as aid truck workers, we see really how ugly all of this rhetoric around peace and security has gotten. And we see even a very clear representation of what we saw last month when President Joe Biden himself said that Rafah is a red line, that if the Zionists invade Rafah, then we will cut off arms shipments to the Zionists. Well, over the past month, we've seen time and time again, they have not been afraid to cross that red line, and it's nowhere to be found. That promise is nowhere to be found.
He keeps moving it. The red line, Biden, I don't think has a red line, let's be honest. I really don't think. I think that's pretty clear by the word that he uses. A lot of the lefty Jewish group is, a lot bothered by the fact that there are little domestic terrorists that have been included in this current administration, right? So Bibi wanted to hold on to power, so he let a guy, Ben-Gvir is his last name, is national security. He is associated with a group known as the Defense of the JDL here in America to bring that home. We're in Los Angeles right now to bring that home for folks that don't know. The JDL was part of multiple pipe bomb plots here in Los Angeles. They killed the Palestinian rights activists down in Louisiana County on the Castro Bay. If you look and you go back to your court records, you see that the FBI actually went through them trying to track these guys down to pick up the responsible. My understanding is that today these two individuals are living in an illegal settlement in Hebron, which is in the occupied West Bank, for folks that don't know where that is. So there's definitely a history here of right-wing extremism influencing the way things are going, and it feels like the wheels are off the train at this point. It's just nothing but right-wing extremists running the show, and I think, this is my personal opinion right now, I think that they want the land more than they want anything else, and collateral damage is anybody, not just the babies and the children, obviously it's a war crime, but also the hostages, and they just want the land. These are extreme individuals. That was a lot, but I'd like to get your thoughts on the connection with the JDL, because I think you probably know that history, only because we've been seeing JDL flags floating about again at Zionist rallies.
There is certainly a history. You touched on that. We have a martyr here, Alex Soledad, who was killed by the JDL. We have a history of right-wing Zionists who have definitely taken violent action against Palestinians here. But I want to push back even and stress that it's not the right-wing extremist Zionists that are the only problem. By a mile. And so when we point out Ben-Gvir as some sort of anomaly, that he alone has connections with some terrorist group here based in the United States, we obscure the reality that truly every form of Zionism is unified on the displacement of Palestinians. And so we resist everything from even the progressive Zionists under the ADL.
I feel like that's sort of an oxymoron, isn't it? I mean, if you look at political Zionism as a theory, it's supremacist. I don't think that that's a controversial statement at all.
Exactly. And that's why I think the metaphor of what happened in Sderot is so potent, because of the way that they were disguised as help. They were disguised as aid. And oftentimes, Zionism takes that form where they disguise themselves under the banner of diversity and inclusion. They disguise themselves under anti-racism as a banner, while delivering what is essentially still, like you said, a white supremacist ideology, a fascist ideology that knows no other political affiliation. You know, left or right wing, however it poses itself. What we saw today, the massacre in Sderot, we lost over 200 martyrs in a day, and we've seen 40,000 people be killed over the last 8 months. This has been an effort, a genocidal effort that is supported by Zionists from across the space.
Indeed, I don't disagree with any of that. I think a lot of the leftist Jewish organizations are now using the term non-Zionist to know. And yes, we agree with that. What they're asking for is equality, period. So whatever that statement is called, Israel, Palestine, Israel, Palestine, something together. The point being is that you can't really have democracy if you're not now staying and, you know, try and have people under military law and nobody else has civilian law. Which is what's happening right now. So I think non-Zionist, un-Zionist, and I use the word for that.
Anti-Zionist. Because it takes a stronger position than an agnostic. You are committed to fighting the systems of oppression. Everyone, I mean, so many people will check every box except for the one on Palestine, right? Like, I had this conversation just recently. It is the final litmus test. If you can stand firm and say that you are against Zionism, then you have already differentiated yourself from everyone in our government.
Which is part of what is not now the Jewish organizations working on that, because a lot of Americans, I just don't think are clear on what Zionism actually is in the real world. They've been sold a bill of goods that is something different than what it is. They believe that they're protecting Jewish people. But they don't realize that that's actually part of that is so what we're talking about Biden, and obviously Biden is amazing protest against Biden. He said he has to work on it, he definitely does not, because he keeps moving back and forth. We saw some folks here marching for four sides, a lot of anti-Biden sides. I don't think anybody is pro-Trump. I think people understand Trump will do a whole lot worse. But that doesn't mean that people are ready to also not support Biden against the rest of people. I think people are done with that. So where do you see this 2024 election going?
I think I certainly agree that Biden has taken a massive, I mean, honestly speaking, it's the only reason he put out the red lines to begin with, because he's afraid of the way that people are responding to his involvement in genocide. So to me, I think whatever mask the next administration will wear, they are going to be one and the same force. They will be united on Zionism, and that is why the people are pushing so hard against Biden, pushing hard against the fascists in the Republican Party. But really, overall, what we're more focused on, even beyond this sham of an election, is cutting off the supply of weapons to the genocide. So recently, UIM launched a Mass Stop Maersk campaign where we're going after Maersk.
Let's talk about what they were there. They freight company?
Yes, they are a shipping and logistics company that carries a lot of the weapons shipments for so many of these weapons manufacturers that are based in the United States who build the weapons here and then ship them over to occupied Palestine to be dropped on our families to kill and murder and maim. And what we're realizing is if we can cut this off at the source, the company that handles all of these shipments from across these weapons manufacturers, then we can truly enforce our own red line. We don't need Biden to make empty promises anymore. The people here are ready to take up their own mantle and put a red line not just around Rafah, not just around Gaza, but around around all of Palestine and say that enough is enough.
So speaking of weapons, I do want to ask you, have you been paying attention to the Albright Systems legal situation in London? So for folks that don't know, I feel like I should tell you about this. A group of activists, 2 Israelis, Jewish Israelis, and I think 5 Palestinians went up to London and they broke into the Albright Systems facility there where they were making bombs. They poured paint into everything, destroyed a lot of that stuff. The place was completely destroyed. They spray painted free Palestine on the inside of the building. Ronnie Barkin is one of the individuals in the Jewish Israeli. He calls himself a dissenter. He's one of them. They were arrested. They're facing charges there in London. Obviously, England doesn't have the First Amendment like we do, even though this is not the First Amendment freedom in this country, a form of civil disobedience. But they were effectively able to shut down the Albright Systems London. What are your thoughts on that sort of action? Because we haven't seen a lot of that until recently. These individuals felt compelled enough to end the war where they did this, and now they're facing jail time.
Yeah, I think direct action is one of many tools in the toolbox of resistance when it comes to genocide, when you're fighting fascists. I would say that definitely, talking to a lot of people here, the climate is definitely mobilizing towards action. No more conversations with local government around the specific wording of a ceasefire resolution. We're far beyond that because we understand that, or really once I heard Biden talk about the red line, once I heard Kamala Harris mention the word ceasefire, we realized that having these people say these words does not make them magic words. What we need is either direct action or public pressure on these companies, specific targeted sustained campaigns against corporations like Maersk, where we pick a target and we say, you need to stop shipping weapons now, and we are going to use everything in our arsenal across the board to make sure that that happens, because we're done standing around and just talking.
So, I want to talk about the ICC a little bit as well. So we have seen movement in this direction, right? I know 10 years ago you would have seen arrest warrants being issued for what happened back in 2011, and that was also very brutal. People forgot that there was a bombing campaign back then. And also a lot of, genocide toward mowing the lawn, which I think is pretty gross. Let me just look at that. So, but now we're seeing some action. Why do you think that, what do you think the impetus was? Why has the overview been shifted? Is it seeing so much devastation? I think for a long time we didn't have social media, we didn't have news outlets like YouTube and now. So people were very shuddered from seeing a lot of the imagery that comes out of
The live stream component of this genocide has definitely been one of the factors. I don't think people in the ICC are seeing these videos and being personally moved by them. I think what's happening is that we have seen a tremendous popular uprising around the world in countries literally every country in the world. And that is the public pressure that was applied towards these international bodies that have always been afraid of Israel and the United States and afraid to take action. And now finally we're seeing that becoming overcome in a large part because of just social movements, mobilizing, changing the messaging. I mean, even now, we're no longer talking about two states the way we were back then, 10, 15 years ago. The two-state solution is dead. At this point, we have understood, and as a public, have sharpened our analysis to the point where we understand there is no coexistence with Zionism. There's no coexistence with a fascist ideology that at its core, again, no matter what flavor, seeks to root us out. Our response has been a changing of our messaging and a changing of our tactics. And I think the international bodies see that and they realize they can't take out much longer without making certain concessions. And I will caution that even certain concessions, even countries agreeing to recognize Palestinian statehood, only going so far because the current representative of Palestinian statehood is the a little bit further and say that if you look at the language of the Oslo Accords, you wipe out Rafah and Biden as figures with their own political charisma. If you look at the text of the Oslo Accords, you can see that certain promises that were made, such as the path on Palestinian statehood, were never explicitly written anywhere. And really, all it was a set of concessions, because the PLO at that point recognized Zionist control over 76% of Palestinian land, 78%, I believe, of Palestinian land. And what did they get in return? A loose promise of control over the remaining 22%. But even that, in the text of the Oslo Accords, again, not even talking about Rabin, because Rabin is still a Zionist, right? So not even talking about the text of, not even talking about Rabin, the carving up of the West Bank, for example, and Gaza at the time, into areas A, B, and C, Zionist control of resources like groundwater, access to the Jordan River, airport for the Palestinians, travel without external permission. I mean, this is not a piece of game.
Anything this agreement benefits Israel far more than it will ever benefit.
Unilaterally.
Unilaterally. And the fact that they said the right to choose students like that, like I'm thinking that. And what I think now, last 2024, you have so many other in the West Bank state. I'm not sure it's even possible to have two states. They've intentionally expanded these illegal settlements for decades. And there's no turning their back. What we have to get, the U.S. can have much sanctions on several 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. Is that too late? I mean, I don't know how much teeth does that actually have.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Red Line. That reminds me of the airdropping aid, which ended up killing people on the way down. It reminds me of the port that they built off the coast of Gaza, which was ostensibly for the Palestinians to bring aid in, and instead they have been using it to bring American troops to carry out military operations like the ones that we saw in the Status Coup. Exactly. So again, what we're seeing is we don't want any more overtures. We don't want any more gestures of goodwill from the Biden administration. What we want is an arms embargo. What we want is to enforce our own red line.
So if you don't have ideally, what do you think should be? I don't know that that's
I know what I want. What I want is for Palestinians to have the right to protect their homes from the river to the sea across all Palestine. And that fundamentally necessitates the dissolution of Zionism as a political ideology with teeth. I think at that point we will see how we handle whatever challenges come across. But fundamentally, the biggest threat to Palestinian existence every day, literally in the last 8 months, every day that passes, we lose 100 people in Gaza to Zionism, which, yeah.
Sorry, I need a minute. The fact that there are children that are dying of starvation. There are 80 children starving. How is anybody okay with that? I just can't relate. Like, you've lost your humanity. That seems
Exactly. They've lost their humanity. I think that's precisely what white supremacist ideology does to you. When you are comfortable playing the role of the oppressor, you sacrifice your humanity for the power that you get to wield over the oppressed. And what we're seeing, really, by fighting back against Zionism, is we are giving the oppressors a chance to reclaim their humanity, because we are reversing that interaction. We are taking apart these systems of power that strip the humanity from everyone across the board. But frankly, I think what I'm concerned about most is making sure that Palestinians are safe in our own homeland, that we can live with dignity, that our children aren't being starved, that our families don't have to live in cities for generations. I mean, what we're seeing happen in Gaza today, Rafah, in camps like Tina-Desiree Berg, in camps like Jabalia, what we're seeing is not a new phenomenon. There are Palestinians who have been living in tent cities 76 years ago. And so what we are looking fundamentally is to reverse war. And in doing so, to restore humanity across the board, but to restore dignity especially for the Palestinians who have been dealing with that at the end of the conscientious objectors are something that we've certainly seen from within the Zionist state. I'm sure the numbers are increasing, certainly, because no matter how hard the Israeli media tries, they can't keep every video from getting out. And they do try. And they do try. They really do. I mean, I have family in Palestine who have no clue or know what's happening in Gaza.
So, I have this explained to me by an Israeli journalist, actually. The IDF actually goes through and looks at what these journalists are saying, and they can put a stop on it if they're not happy with it. So, again, not a First Amendment thing, in my opinion, but that does happen.
And again, I want to clarify, too, that the same thing happens here, and that the First Amendment is also another dead horse that we continue to beat with the assumption that it means something to the United States government. But what we've actually seen is not a free press here in the United States. What we've seen is a media class that is in cahoots, is happy to publish.
Yeah, I mean, the New York Times is a prime example. We've seen them get caught with their pants down numerous times now where they have, I think, intentionally published misinformation. I don't think the New York Times is well not happy.
Right. But what we're seeing is memoranda being circulated from within these newsrooms saying, don't even mention Palestine, don't even mention genocide. How are you going to talk about a genocide for Palestinians when you can't? It's like playing some sort of sick party game, you know? And I think like that is another focus that we've been centering on here in LA, in the heart of a lot of the media empires. Just last week, we went to Hollywood to protest exactly that. In fact, the media, every time the media lies, the neighborhood in Gaza dies. What we mean is to say that every time they attempt to silence any conversation about genocide, every time they take a statement from Palestinian students at the encampments and they warp it into something unrecognizable, what they are doing is attempting murder. So much more plain is that being pro-Israel should put you on a watch list. At this point, the way that they have committed the genocide, the way that they have killed people for 76 years, but 40,000 in the span of 8 months, 200 in just one day today, to be pro-Israel at this point is to be pro-terrorism, to be pro-Israel is to be pro-murder, to be pro-Israel is to be, unfortunately, a very good candidate for since our conference in Detroit, People's Conference for Palestine, so 2 weekends ago in Detroit, I think the strategy has become much more clear. We are going to focus on campaigns that are moving the levers of power. Starting with this arms embargo, starting with our Mascot Mares campaign, we are going to focus on ways that we are enforcing our own red line around all of Palestine. We are not going to wait for direction from the United States. We are going to lead the charge. And if the politicians realize at one point or another that they've fallen behind and they've lost touch with the people, because they have, then they're going to learn about that on their own in November. And until then, we're going to keep pushing.
And also, thank you to Nick for holding the camera so I could do this interview. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so it looks like we're marching again. Status Coup. All right, guys. Thank you, Nick. Let's keep on marching. Appreciated his thoughts. A lot to digest there. I'm going to go through some donations right now before we get working again. Super chats. Thank you, Teresa. $20. Thank you, Tina. You are Status Coup Gold. Appreciate that, Teresa. Whoa, we have some fireworks. That was fireworks that went off in case people were wondering. TP, $49.99. Very generous. Thank you, TP. Thank you, Status Coup, for keeping up the good work. God save Palestinian children. Big Dumb Animal, $4.99. Thank you, Big Dumb Animal. I understand why it had to happen, but I miss Tina. So glad to get her on the channel again. I miss you guys too. We'll bring back Right Wing Insanity Report when we can afford to, I promise. I love doing that show. Don't ever think that I didn't. I love that show. It's coming back. Members, thank you. New YouTube member, James Sexton, thank you for joining. Appreciate that. Tony D, how are you, Tony D? Gifted 1 YouTube member. Donations. Carol donated $49 on StatusCoup. Thank you, Carol. Very generous. And then William donated $20 on StatusCoup. Thank you, William. Very generous. We appreciate that. All right, we're going to start marching. Continuing our march through downtown Los Angeles. Again, this is the Red Line for Palestine rally and march for the West Coast. We have over 1,000 people here today. It was a couple hundred in the morning, kept growing. I think we might be close to 1,500 at this point. Spray painted Gaza.
flag.
And we saw how last week the U.S. and the UK and Saudi Arabia called Yemen for their steadfast resistance against the Zionist regime. Yemen, Yemen, make us proud! Yemen, Yemen, make us proud! Turn another ship around! Turn another ship around! Cause the cold Yemen answered! All Israeli ships are canceled! All Israeli ships are canceled! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Right now we're passing by the LAPD! You terrorist students on UCLA campus and Washington scientists infiltrated and bombarded our students! The LAPD! You should stop the people from here to Palestine! LAPD!
point that out in case you didn't see that earlier. It's a very life-size, larger than life-size. I've been talking too long. Very large head, 2 hands, bloody hands. He's with the group that says, Biden, we are your red line. Everybody, meet Dwayne. Dwayne is an activist here in Los Angeles. Thank you, Nick, for handling the camera. So much easier. I wanted to ask you about, so at Pride, at the main Pride West Hollywood parade on Sunday, very large Palestinian activists. They were handing out money for the pop star. She made many speeches in favor of Palestinian rights while she was marching. Lots of claps and cheers from the crowd. What do you think?
Yeah, well, we're seeing it all across this country. We have seen it in New York, in Philadelphia, today, even in D.C. It's happening all over the country that there should be no business as usual when Gazans are literally dying from a genocide committed by apartheid state known as Israel. And so, you know, that Palestinian rights are human rights, and it is both a feminist issue, it is an environmental issue, it is a queer and trans issue, it's just a basic human rights issue. And that a lot of these LGBTQ plus pride events that happen every single June are now flooded with big corporations like Amazon, Google, Walmart. The cops are showing up, both LAPD and LASD and other various local law enforcement agencies here all across the city and county of LA. And so we are saying that there should be no cops, no corporations in any and all pride spaces. And so I think a lot of groups and organized individuals are inspired by that.
What do you say to the folks that are like, well, maybe it's good that the police and the corporations are there. It means that they've shifted their thoughts to more accepting. Like, what do you say to people that say,
well, the cops have been,
is that the
Can't tell at the moment.
let's move over here just in case. We have a guy who Yeah, no, this is definitely better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, there's been a history of police brutality against the LGBTQ plus community, including queer and trans folks of color, those who are disabled, those who are working class, or those who are activists, so the most marginalized and disenfranchised in our community. And these corporations have given money to politicians and political organizations that are eroding workers' rights and civil liberties of people of color and members of the LGBTQ plus community. They overturned, Roe versus Wade and affirmative action, and they are polluting the air, land, and water, causing the climate crisis. And Pride, it started as a protest, and there were a lot of grassroots organizations and small businesses that were very supportive of the community, and now we have companies that are not paying fair wages to their workers, union busting, the whole 9 yards. So, you know, these big companies should not belong there. There needs to be private security and a volunteer safety and security team rather than LAPD, LASC, or any other law enforcement agency. They should be strictly reduced to traffic control at this point.
Yeah, it seems to me that the reason they're there is for marketing purposes. Now it's not popular to be pro-gay rights or whatever, so they're jumping on the bandwagon and trying to get some social media clout by doing that. I want to ask you about pink washing. A lot of the signs in the contingent said no more pink washing in Israel. I think that is referring to the idea of saying, like, hey, we're okay with gay rights, we're good with that. Muslims aren't, they're very anti-gay. Palestinians are anti-gay. You should love us more because we're pro-gay. So it's sort of trying to watch their other actions by saying that stuff. I believe that that's what these signs were about. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, pink washing is basically when an individual or organization or entity like the country claims that they are LGBTQ plus friendly to queer and trans folks, but behind the scenes they are not. For example, in Israel, same-sex marriage is not even legalized, and the occupation of the West Bank and the blockade and now the siege on Gaza is harming queer and trans Gazans and Palestinians, on top of innocent women and children and aid workers and journalists on the ground there. And I think it's funny that countries like the U.S. claim that they are more queer and trans friendly than the past decade or so. But as we saw here in Los Angeles, in North Hollywood, and Glendale, we have seen right-wing and far-right conservative fascists terrorize public education, the Los Angeles Unified School District and the Glendale School District, and we're seeing it all across the country with homophobic and transphobic legislation. There are states where, based on your religious beliefs, you could fire someone for being gay or deny them service for being gay or trans. They are restricting, if not banning, trans health care, especially for kids who need it. And obviously the overturn of Roe versus Wade is impacting queer couples who want to have families, have access to family planning, on top of the erosion of workers' rights and the environmental catastrophe for women. And as long as, you know, neoliberal capitalism, white supremacy, and imperialism exists, homophobia, transphobia, racism, whether it's anti-black racism or anti-indigenous racism, ableism, all the isms and the phobias of the world you can think of,
they
will continue to exist.
You know, part of that, obviously, they started to increase with Trump as president. He ripped the Band-Aid off. I think that's pretty common, but they haven't slowed down, and I think homophobic attacks are definitely on the rise. How do you think that's all going to play out with the election in 2024? You know, obviously, a lot of people are angry with Biden because he's been not only ineffective in stopping the war in Gaza. I don't think he wants to stop it. He seems to be fine with it. He's come out and said some words. I think, like, how do you think that's going to play out? I mean, I think people realize Trump is a worse pick. Like, he's come out and said, Trump's come out and said, yeah, I would lock up all the student protesters. Yeah, keep bombing Gaza, wipe them out. So definitely not less hateful retort coming from Trump.
Yeah.
But this is what's on the ballot, and it's kind of sad that that's our choices.
Well, the Democrats, when they had a majority, when Biden first came into office, they had both majorities in the House and the Senate. They could have passed For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, the Equality Act, the ERA, codify Roe versus Wade. They could have done all of this, but they didn't do nothing. And I personally believe all of this is an accumulation of failures within the Biden administration, not doing that stuff. The miss when we fully withdraw from Afghanistan, we did not do a lot to support Afghan refugees and asylum seekers. We're sending billions of dollars overseas to both Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. It's like, we should not start World War III over any of this. And the Democrats know what they need to do. There needs to be a permanent ceasefire where all Palestinian prisoners are released and the bombing of Gaza stops. The occupation of the West Bank ends, the blockade of the West Bank ends, and Palestinians must deserve self-determination as well as a right of return. That is popular amongst the young people. He also really needs to cancel more student loan debt for the majority of Americans. Also, decriminalize and legalize cannabis for recreational and medical usage. The Democrats know what they need to do, but for some odd reason, they're not doing it because they're bought out by various special interests, including AIPAC, the real estate industry, Wall Street, and this has been going on for years, if not decades. And you know, what do you expect? That's how people like Donald Trump and the right wing and the far right that has long existed amongst the Republican Party and American conservatism, now it has come home, despite Trump being impeached twice, despite an insurrection in 2021, and despite him being a convicted felon. So the Democrats actually need to deliver, or you know,
they don't seem to be interested in delivering. That's the problem, I suppose. You know, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the year. I think Trump does have a shot at winning, and that scares the shit out of me. And I don't really like Biden at all. I think he's terrible as well. I think it's just a sad state of affairs when our choices in the United States are those two individuals. We clearly have better folks that would do a better job of ruling our country, but this is where we're at.
Yeah.
A lot of that, I think, is correct, is being furthered by money and politics.
Exactly. And especially pay attention to state and local elections. I mean, all eyes are here in California. We are the most powerful state economically and politically. Here in LA, we're the second largest city in the world, and despite having a higher tax rate than other states, you know, we don't have enough housing, both affordable and market rate, for people who can't afford it. We have a massive homelessness crisis. Drug addiction and mental health issues have gotten worse, and our hospitals and medical facilities and programs are not up to date with that. We're in the midst of a climate crisis. Why are we still powered by gas and oil and coal? It's like we need to get off of that. And also, why is going to a youth seat in Cal State so expensive and getting into is becoming more
because
selective.
we definanced the system. I mean,
Yeah,
when I went to UC, I paid, people are going to have a heart attack when I say this. When I was a freshman at the UC system, I paid $420 a quarter. You heard me correct.
Yeah, and also our criminal justice system and our public safety system penalizes people in poverty or greater punishment towards people with misdemeanors. But, the Bill Cosbys and the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, or the Catholic churches of the world, they get away with it, or they get a slap on the wrist, or the justice does not suffice. And that is what has been happening all this time, even before the anti-racism demonstrations in 2020. We have not ended qualified immunity as a state to hold police departments like LAPD accountable. We have not actually cut the police budget significantly, despite various measures and actions that have been done before. So I think at state and local level to pay attention, because that's where the majority of the power is coming from, whether you live in a small town in rural Arkansas, the suburbs of Detroit, or right here in the city and county of Los Angeles, because that's where we can make a difference.
Dwayne, thank you for talking with us.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
Your time.
Thank you.
And actually, that is the end of the march, folks. I'm glad we were able to talk to one more activist before he ran away. So we're going to log out now. Thanks for joining us for our inaugural live stream here in Los Angeles. Thank you for the Status Coup members that joined today, that are currently members and contributed to us being able to do this live stream. We now have the second live view that we're able to afford, so we're going to be doing more of this. And if you haven't considered, please consider joining. $5 a month is really helpful for us. We don't take money from corporations. This is how we fund our being on the ground reporting. So again, thanks for joining us here in downtown LA at the March for Palestine, the Red Line for Palestine here on the West Coast. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you again.
Yes.